In other news, the ESRB wants to age scan your face. I mean, hey, they've got it in China and it's working out great for them.
Fantastic.
The Entertainment Software Rating Board has made a joint filing to the FTC alongside digital identity company Yoti, who I've definitely super heard of and I'm sure has the best security practices.
Totally trust them.
And digital media company Super Awesome for permission to use a system called Privacy Protective Facial Age Estimation. Yeah.
The system requires the users to take a photo of themselves, check whether or not the face in the frame is live, then sends the photo to a remote server where it is AI analyzed to determine the approximate age of its subject. The ESRB says the system will delete images immediately after use. Sure. Someone's going to backdoor that in like 4 years, find the entire archive. Sorry, where is it? They also
They're going to have a whole
that
website for it. It's going to be called Backdoor.
It's going to be called
backdoorphotos.com.
The Facebook.
By the way, don't go to that URL. I wouldn't actually recommend going to that one either.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. They also stated that they would not use the system as an age gate to prevent children from purchasing and/or downloading restrictively rated video games.
Well, wait, what is the point of this?
I suddenly have no idea.
Wait, Luke, no, I'm totally over it. I actually want this. Everyone's allowed to buy the game, but I don't have to listen to 12-year-olds in the lobby.
So they can't play it.
It actually hard locks their always-on microphone.
Yeah. What is more likely is that the system might be used by publishers looking to remain compliant with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, which requires verifiable parental consent before collecting or sharing the personal information of children under 13. Epic Games, Super Awesome's parent company, interesting, agreed to a $275 million penalty for violating COPPA this past December.
I mean, the thing that's frustrating about this for me is, can I make a crazy suggestion? How about if what you're doing is so egregious that doing it to children results in a $275 million fine, how about you just not do that to anybody?
Yeah, anybody at all. That'd be great.
I mean, it's a crazy idea, I know.
Yeah.
I know. You know what? No, don't applaud that. I'm sorry, that was a stupid thing to say.
We can't do that.
We shouldn't do that. We should take as much information from people as possible. In fact, here at LTX, can we go back to the crowd cam? Okay, so who here gave their name and date of birth in order to buy a ticket? Okay. Who here was photographed at some point during the event? Okay, so this is good. Personal.
Don't raise your hand, you're lying.
Okay. Now, I spoke with the team before the show here, and I asked them to make sure that they got a blood sample from everybody who came through. Who gave a blood sample? Okay, good.
Oh, very good.
Any semen samples? Okay, we're going to come back to the two-shot, please. Thank you.
I don't know if we want that
There
last
was
one.
no official collection of semen samples, so whoever you gave it to, weird kink.
Might want to follow up in 9 months.
Yoti claim.
Yoti claims that the AI has a 99.7% accuracy rate for distinguishing the faces of minors, and it considers things like whether, say, an 18-year-old could count or could have a 14-year-old kid.
Okay.
Yoti's system is also under trial in the UK to check whether customers are old enough to buy alcohol, and requires anyone that the AI judges to look 25 or younger to show ID.
Here's my problem right now. I don't have a better solution. We've talked extensively on the WAN show about these, like whether it's governmental or whether it's a third party, these identity collection entities basically just turning into gigantic honeypots. Anything that's going to hold this information is going to be a target. And so if the solution is, hey, well, instead of holding information, why don't we just use an AI to determine what we need to know and then immediately delete the data? It's actually a pretty sound idea in
But why do they
principle.
even need to collect it in the first place?
Well, that's the thing, right? Well, you can't analyze a picture without having it at some point. But,
Yeah, but who cares?
The problem is that I just don't. Okay, well, that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
Right, but okay, so let's take all the different various things that you might want to verify age for online. You know, whether it's viewing adult content. And adult content doesn't necessarily mean, you know, Twitter-rated content. A lot of which can be found on x.com, by the way. You don't have to look that hard. And I'm not even necessarily talking about that. I could be talking about something as simple as an R-rated movie, right? Like it's not like there isn't a value to something like this. You know, say for example, if, you know.
I mean, certain news stories might be age gated if they're showing a certain level of content in that
Yeah,
story.
sure. Like something graphic. I think that's a pretty good example.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, even something as simple as like whatever Google calls the Play Store now. Whatever, the movies. Yeah, I don't know. You can rent movies on YouTube. Sure, fine. You know, if they could age gate an R-rated movie or something like that, you know, I don't necessarily see that as an entirely terrible thing. It's just that we've been betrayed over and over and over and over again when it comes to the collection of this data, to the point where you were just laughing about it. You're like, yeah, in 4 years it's going to turn out they kept all of them, and they're going to make some excuse, right? They're going to say, oh, well, we had to have it so that we could train the AI better.
We didn't realize that caching server wasn't dealing garbage collection.
We didn't realize it was just a completely unprotected FTP with no password on it.
Oh, we delete it immediately, except the server that it goes to is completely unprotected, so people just scrape it as it comes in. Like, I don't know. Like, there's issues.
Do you have hobbies you haven't told me about?
Here's a question for you.
You know too much about this.
It's just too easy, man. As someone who has kids, would you be happy to make it so that they're, you know, less likely to run into things that you don't want them to run into in a trade for their face being scanned every single time they attempt to do so? Because I feel like that's not worth it. I understand parental controls on like everything are basically garbage, and there's really, really easy ways to get around it.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's probably pretty easy ways to get around this too.
This is a really tough conversation. I almost feel like I wish we were. It's a funny thing, right? It's not like the WAN show's any different. All you guys would have been watching it anyway. You're just like here in person. But I almost feel like, you know, this is a really
exposed.
personal. Yeah, it's a personal question. And
Stop looking.
I'd be fine answering it with just, you know, you there, and I guess Dan is also there usually. But
oh, he's so cute. Look at him. Oh.
You know, I don't really know the right answer to that because, you know, okay, wow, we're gonna get real here. When I was a young lad of, you know, 13, 14.
Oh.
It was pretty easy to find inappropriate content on the internet. You know,
And my dad's here. I got grounded for a month.
For that age. Have you told the story of why?
I can. I can.
It's because he printed it.
Okay.
Tell me this. Was it at least 16-bit or was it 256 color?
It was okay. It was okay.
So I'm a little older than him.
So
we only had 256 color and we considered ourselves lucky.
Yeah, the situation was back then, you know, you don't have laptops, you don't have smartphones. So if you wanted the content in your room.
So the point is, it was relatively hard to get your hands on stuff, and it was relatively benign compared to what just pops up in my feed on x.com when I am just looking at what's trending and scrolling down, and you just see people like
which for the uninformed is Twitter.
Jumping onto these trending hashtags or whatever the case may be, right? And so it's something that, you know, Yvonne and I have talked about a fair bit. It's like, realistically, we cannot stop our kids from getting access to pretty much whatever they want. And, you know, honestly speaking, I feel like pornography is a pretty low-hanging fruit, right? Like it's an easy target. Oh, think of the children. What about the pornography, right? And there's obviously some very valid conversations to be had there about it, but there's really, really disturbing stuff on the internet, right? Like it's not just about that.
Especially right now, actually, with the war in Ukraine. This is like the most documented war I've ever seen. And you can find live footage of stuff that could be very disturbing to people.
Very traumatic.
Not protected by anything. And this solution is not going to apply to every single website, to every single service, to every single, I'm connecting to this through my Nintendo DS type of way that you could access things. So you're just going to be collecting people's faces, but there will be other ways to get things. So
the short version of it is, I hope that if my kids ever watch this WAN show, or this segment of the WAN show, I hope that we
don't
do a
use
good...
the printer.
I got Yvonne a sick printer. That's not why.
You don't know.
We have a really nice printer. Anyway, I hope that they would feel like we followed through on what we've talked about, which is we've resolved to talk to them about things, understand that we're never going to be able to rely on parental controls, try to frame things in the appropriate context to help them make good decisions about the content that they are consuming online, and realistically understand that at the end of the day, children are just little tiny adults, right? Like it's amazing how fast they change, right? Anyone with kids? How mind-blowing is it, right? They go from, hiding behind you when a stranger comes into the room to, talking back to the stranger, and you're like, it happens so fast. No. I don't want people collecting pictures.
Is it public how old your son is?
Ish.
Ish. Okay. So last time we were over, you were comparing heights, and he was like going to bed, and you said that he had to go to bed because he was whatever age. And then you were like, wait, come back, we're going to collect heights. And when he comes around the corner, he's like, and then says his age, instead of like introducing himself as his name, because you would refer to him as his age. And just, I can't do it right now because I can't say the age and I'm going to keep it private. But the comedic delivery was like...
Just tell the story properly, it's fine.
I can say it?
Yeah.
So he was referring to him as 11.
Yeah.
And he goes around this wall and then comes back around the wall, like arms plastered to his side, kind of waddling a little bit. He's like, I'm 11. And just the comedic timing of it and everything was genuinely very, very funny. And it wasn't funny like just because LOL little kid. It was funny because of the timing and how he did it and stuff.
He's got the snark.
Yeah, he's a little Linus running around. This is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, my answer is no. No, I don't want them participating in any of this, especially because like you said, it's all going to be for nothing.
Yeah.
There's going to be like maybe Steam supports it and maybe Epic Game Store supports it, but Battlestate Games stupid launcher.
No shot.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to support it, right? I mean, I'm not even sure how long. Like Activision Blizzard's own launcher, Battle.net, I'm not even sure how long that is for this world now that their games are on Steam now. It kind of feels like the first step toward throwing in the towel, right? So to be clear, I am expecting them to carry that on for a very long time. That 30% take is pretty brutal. But like I'm looking at it going, for what? Like if I have to participate in this system, hey, at least maybe it could be something that actually is universally adopted and it has some kind of meaningful function, but...
Yeah, be careful with that too, because another topic that didn't actually really make it into it did, the Google DRM browser stuff.
Okay, we will get to that later, but what we haven't talked about that is directly related to this topic is, by and large, I think the ESRB's function is one that I don't object to, really, meaningfully.
The goal, at least?
Yeah, with the goal of keeping, really kind of inappropriate content out of the hands of people who are maybe not at a mentally developed stage where they fully understand it and are ready to process it. And you know what, to be clear, I think that 99% of even kids can very well understand the difference between animated video game violence and real world violence, but it only takes a small handful. Like, that's something that I've learned over and over and over and over and over again, is that if only 0.1% of people act in a certain way, that's like, okay, so hold on a second, what are we up to, like 8 billion now?
Well,
so 10% is 800 million, and 1% is 80 million, and 0.1% is 8 million people could do something, right? And obviously you can't turn the whole world into a rubber padded room, right? Like, that's not
gonna work anyways.
That's not realistic. But when I look at this technology, I go, even though largely I kind of agree with the goal of the ESRB, every time we see this stuff, I look at AI and I go, oh man. So now you're going to have an authoritarian regime that's using this to ensure that, you know, and not tell you, you know, oh, hey, you can't buy that game, but they're going to be monitoring what games you're playing. And they're going to be filing that away with your social credit score or whatever the case may be.
And I just thought of this now, but they might delete the picture, but they might not delete the analytics from the picture. So they could scan things like eye color, skin color. Do you have a beard? Do you not have a beard? Like, how much do you weigh? You can probably check certain fat percentages from people's faces to a certain degree, different things like this. They can harvest a lot of information about you from a photo of your face. I didn't say anything about that.
It's funny because there's a big societal push toward less profiling, and yet the tools that we're building
just more and more profiling all the time.
Are supercharging our ability to profile people just based on their appearance, based on their preferences. You know, I remember having a really funny conversation. It might have been at the first LTX, actually, which is great, like 6 years ago now, right? Anyway, I remember having a conversation where I ran into one of our few, you know, female viewers, and I was like, oh, hey, this is unusual. Do you want to take a picture for your boyfriend? Because that's usually it.
You can't do that, though.
No, but that's usually.
Yeah, but you can't do that, though, because it's not always.
Luke, this is on topic.
Okay.
And the point is, we ended up getting into a bit of a conversation where she goes, yeah, that's like my whole life, is because I'm into tech.
And that's why you can't do that.
And I know, I'm coming to this, Luke.
Okay.
Because I'm into tech, and because I'm into cars, and because I'm into engineering, you know, every ad service where I go and I poke into it, they assume I'm a man. And they profile me like this, and I was like, deeply sorry. Clearly part of the problem. But it was such a wake-up call as to why we actually can't do this. I mean, the problem is that in that case, the system kind of worked. Based on all the categories of ads and products or whatever that they had for men and like serving them to her, she was like,
interested in
I
it.
actually get very relevant ads.
Yeah.
But I still object to it.
And which is fair.